am still talking about the socio-economic problems of women, and this is the part 2 in this series. Today I shall be talking about more sensitive issues like female circumcisions and more. The whole idea about inequality, when looked at critically, one can see that women ought to have done things to rectify this a long time ago. My take on this is that if a woman is not happy about what is happening to her in her matrimonial home, and she feels that she cannot change it, she should at least correct the attitude in her son and let him not carry the same idea into his marriage. But the opposite applies. She is the one that will enforce this tradition on her daughter-in-law. This has not helped the cause of women. From the time history was written or passed on from one generation to the next, women have always been made a second fiddle. Women are very free. They're free loving. They want to please. They want to be happy, which is depicted in this picture. They want to be as sophisticated as possible and make people around them to feel happy and also to feel welcome, to feel comfortable, to feel at ease. I analyze women and their nature as follows. Women are seen to be the weaker sex, who has to be tailored and guarded because they have less wisdom, or it is assumed that they have less wisdom to share. Hence, they are stripped of their rights to human dignity, thereby making them wretched. But I see women as being wonderful and witty. Women are to obey without blinking an eye, and when they do not, they are taken as being obstinate and offensive, whereas it is obvious that what they do not want is being put in obscurity. Women are managers of circumstances and will make marked differences out of meager situations, manufacturing what will make people marvel at their ingenuity. Women are naturally exploring and will go an extra mile to accommodate the men in their lives, but they are not given an equal share of power because they are made extraneous and tagged as bundle of nerves when they are actually extroverts. Women are nature's necessity for completeness, and even though they have suffered a lot of neglect and taken as being nuisances by some, they still form the nerve that makes the world tick. Women are traditionally looked upon as possessions of men to be used for childbearing, for cleaning the house, making food, and literally at the beck and call of men. In Africa, an artist would marry many wives, not because he loves them, but they are used to propagate his work without him needing to pay them because he is already providing for their needs, thereby getting cheap labor. These women fight for the attention of the man, and each one wants to be in the good record of the man. Hence, they want to outdo each other. Usually, the first wife, at a point in time, becomes less relevant because there is the youngest wife who demands and gets all the pampering from the husband. This youngest wife, however, fails to realize that the same measure of relevance will be accorded to her when the new wife comes in, and she is no longer the latest. None of these wives could ask for pay, as the husband is the sole provider, and it is understood that what she did was her share of the upkeep of the family, but she was not permitted for pay except money for family upkeep. If she asks for money for personal expenses, the man scrutinizes her request, and could reject or only give something out of his generosity. She, on the other hand, should thank him and dared not complain even if the fund was not enough. In the old times, men marry many women so they could be helping hands on the farm. After a day's work on the farm, the same woman who was busy on the farm alongside with her husband would carry the firewood and things for dinner while the husband took the hoe and the machete. He would walk in front of her and would keep on urging the woman to keep up the pace. The woman could be pregnant or could be carrying a toddler on her back. She was expected to start the dinner once they got home and perform her wifely duties if the man demanded for it. Matters affecting women's economy are controlled by men, and certain conformities are expected for women. In some tribes in Africa, women are subjected to circumcision, and men from such tribes will not marry a woman that is uncircumcised, or marry a girl that is not circumcised. What this female circumcision does is to further reduce the rights of the women, in that the sensitive part of the female organ is removed and the organ is sometimes mutilated. This procedure, when crudely done, results in different types of complications for the poor girl. She could have bladder infection, or worse, it could result in her inability to have children. At the end of it all, the husband would abandon her and take another wife. The reason for the procedure is that Such women that were circumcised will not be promiscuous. On the other hand, males are circumcised to expose the very sensitive part of their organ. Hence, circumcision or circumcised women do not enjoy sex to the fullest, thereby being shortchanged in one of nature's fulfillment of life, whereas the men get the fullest. This procedure is done at the instance of the men who made it to be part of the tradition because they want to marry quote unquote innocent girls. For men to marry innocent girls, young girls are married off. Some as early as 9 years old, and their husband introduces them to sex from that early age, not minding the fact that they are not anatomically, psychologically, or emotionally matured. One thing that is not understood is that a circumcised woman might even be worse because she might continue to look for fulfillment, hence becoming more promiscuous. If this same woman complains of unfulfillment to her husband, that is even in a marriage where she has some right of expression. He feels that she must be having some coaching somewhere, or must be comparing him with other men in her life, both past and present. She cannot dictate when and how she wants to make love. These are all at the man's discretion. The diagram that you are looking at is that of a woman with a scale, a man on one side and the woman on the other side. When this woman complains, she has no say in anything. She is put to shame. As you can see, she's looking down, depressed, and all. And nobody seems to take it as anything of a big deal because it is tradition. Emphasis is made on the female saving herself until the wedding night. But the same is not expected of the male. In the old days, up to the early part of the 20th century, mothers instructed their daughters to maintain their chastity until the wedding night. During this era in Africa, on the night of the wedding, after the bride had been taken to her husband's house in the night, the family members of the bride waited nervously for the bride and the groom to meet. A blood-stained white cloth is brought out to show that the bride had not been deflowered before her wedding night. When such is presented, there is a lot of dancing and rejoicing by the bride's family. When such cannot be shown, the bride could be returned to her father's house in shame. And even if she was not sent back to her father's house, she would be stigmatized. This is quite unfair because there is no such way to show the innocence of the husband. Moreover, the man that she slept with, for whom she was so humiliated, will perform the same ritual on his wedding night and expect to find his bride intact. What an injustice. After After all, it takes two to tango. Nature itself is unfair to the female because once the hymen is broken, then it is assumed that the female had experienced sex before. But there is no way to tell an innocent man from an experienced one. She is therefore stigmatized and could even be blackmailed. On the other hand, the male is termed the ladies' man, and he becomes the toast of his peers. Come to think of it, are the girls the men are sleeping with not somebody else's wives in future? And are the men themselves going to claim innocence? It is highly hypocritical. On the other hand, the male will boast that he had made scores, whereas the female will be stigmatized, and she cannot raise her head amongst her peers, and she feels left out, and at the end of it all, she has no say in anything. Women need to be more focused on matters affecting them emotionally and not just accept the norms of the society just on the face value. If you do not say I am, nobody will say thou art. This is where I'm going to end the second part of this series, and I hope that you have enjoyed it. I want your comments. These are very sensitive issues. Women issues have been treated, but not enough is done. More still needs to be done because there are so many things that are still affecting women that ought to have changed by now. Until next week, Tuesday, thank you, and don't forget to leave your comments. Thank you.